Prince Wales Island is in southeastern Alaska.
It had about 2,000 miles of logging road, really good deer hunting, bear hunting, and it also had a lot of ocean opportunities.
We had about 8 villages, and Craig, Alaska is a small town on the island.
Regardless of who you hung out with on the island, everybody knew everybody.
There was virtually no random street crime. Craig was absolutely safe. It was just a good place to live. November of 2004, I went to work at the Craig Police Department on a Sunday morning, and around noon, received a call from my dispatcher that a hunter had found a burning van with potentially human remains in it. I was skeptical. On more than one occasion, I've had human remains calls and turned out to be a bear that had been skinned. I assumed that there might be another explanation for what he said he saw.
With 2,000 people on the island at the time, there was 4 of us that were state troopers stationed on Prince Wales Island. Myself and Trooper Bob Claus were on duty, so we drove out there to the scene, out to where the van was, which is a logging road kind of in the middle of nowhere.
The drive to the site where we found the van was a little bit less than an hour from the Craig Police Department. We met the person who called it in. He directed us up to the scene. As I was climbing up a steep hill, I could see there was still smoke coming from the van.
The van went over a cliff, and my first thought was this was some sort of vehicle accident. It was smoldering at that point. You couldn't see a paint color or anything.
I walked up and looked inside the van. I saw what appeared to be a human skull and torso in the back seat of the van. The remains had been almost completely destroyed by the fire.
The body was in the back seat, kind of on the floor, and I didn't see a driver. The front windshield was missing, so I went down below where the vehicle was to see if there was a driver. Maybe they got ejected out of the van. Looked around down there, didn't see anything. We really started getting a clearer picture. This was not just some sort of vehicle accident.
It was just an immediate realization that I needed assistance, because what we had was a dead person with almost nothing to go on. I didn't have the expertise or the equipment to deal with by myself.
When I got the initial call, I was in Anchorage at the time, and we'd help out the smaller police departments who don't have investigations units.
This crime scene was close to 50 miles from the closest small town, and the town itself is 12 hours of travel from anything you would call a city. So I wasn't expecting help from Anchorage till morning.
Obviously, we have a very large state. It takes a long time to get anywhere up here, and it does factor in a lot to investigations because there's that much more exposure to weather, to animal actions, to people.
The country is full of bears and wolves and deer and all kinds of critters. So to prevent the scene from being interfered with either by animals or by hunters, I prepared to spend the night in my car watching the crime scene. At one point, I had a call from my dispatcher that Doc Waterman reported that his wife, Lauri Waterman, was missing, and their Chrysler minivan was also gone. The van at the scene was clearly a Chrysler product. There are only perhaps a dozen minivans of that style on the island. At that point, logic says that it was most likely her. Lauri Waterman was a friendly acquaintance of mine. My wife worked in the school. Lauri Waterman worked in the school. I did Little League. She did Little League. We did a lot of things like that together, running into each other. For me personally, it was shocking.
Craig is a remote village that you have to fly in by float plane. So I was with State Trooper Sergeant Randy McFerrin of the Alaska State Crime Lab. And we landed about 10 o'clock. We met Robert Claus. He had said somebody was missing in the community and there was human remains in a fire in a minivan.
Obviously, the body hadn't been identified yet, but given the fact that Prince of Wales Island is such a small place and the vehicle description matched the Waterman van, we suspected it was probably Lauri Waterman. But you want to keep an open mind until you get absolute confirmation.
We drove up the side of the mountain to the fire scene. We wondered why a minivan would get out into the mountains that high.
It was a pretty remote area, very steep, hilly country. The van had gone down the slope of a hill and impacted a tree stump.
When we got out, we looked over the scene.
We were looking for tire prints, shoe prints, anything that may have been deposited there.
I started my investigation by taking digital pictures and observing fire patterns. And I started in a circular motion around the minivan. The only paint that was left were around the floorboards. The rear window glass was blown out and all 4 tires were gone.
The van had obviously been burned up. The body was lying on the floor, kind of like in a fetal position. And it was pretty much just a skeleton.
And all that was left of the remains were the femurs above the knee, was the humerus bones above the elbows, and the skull was still attached to the spinal column and then to the thoracic cavity. We couldn't tell what we were looking at other than it was a human body in bad shape.
Crime scenes can be initially shocking. It was pretty gruesome stuff, but you have a job to do and you just do it.
Shortly after that, we packaged the remains up for the medical examiner to do their autopsy. There's only one medical examiner in the state of Alaska, and the main office is in Anchorage. So the body is flown into Anchorage. As we're leaving the crime scene, we're going up the hill. I kept smelling an ignitable liquid. And then it dawned on me, it's gas, it's gas. And there was here to be a trailer, a gas trailer that led from the side of the road down the mountain to the vehicle.
The fire was clearly set by someone and not an accident in any way, shape, or form. It just confirmed it was murder. Doc Waterman was #1 on our suspect list. He was rumored to be having affairs.
He forced her to drink a bottle of wine to get her intoxicated. The plan was to stage a drunk driving accident.
Perhaps he thought it would look better if he became a widower than if he divorced his wife.
Then suddenly, you get this very frantic call. There's been another attack. People are just running around thinking that there's this killer stalking the town.
When it comes to true crime, this isn't just what we do.
Nothing can stop justice.
It's all we do. Oxygen. We live and breathe true crime.
They killed someone and cut them up.
Look what we just dug up.
I found a rib cage.
Body parts have been scattered.
A brand new episode.
She was buried in the sand.
Only Oxygen True Crime has new episodes of Buried in the Backyard. Thursdays at 8.
Ray loves vacations, but his diabetes never seemed to take one. Everything felt like a no. Everything. But then Ray went from no to no. With Freestyle Libre 2, now he knows his glucose levels when he needs to and when he wants to. So Ray can be Ray. Take the mystery out of your glucose levels and lower your A1C. Now you know. Try it for free. Visit freestylelibre.us.
As someone who resembles someone else, I appreciate that Liberty Mutual knows everyone's unique. That's why they customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Oh yeah, that's the spot. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
My family loves club crackers. They're light, flaky, and buttery. Am I an influencer?
Light, flaky, buttery club crackers. As a DJ, I know all about customization. That's why I love Liberty Mutual. They customize my car insurance, so I only pay for what I need.
How about a throwback?
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Ma'am, you forgot your wallet. Here, let me help you with this. It's okay. I insist. So how's your day going?
Oh, not bad. Well, you gotta run back to the store so you don't get cold. Alex?
Give more than a gift. Etsy.
Domino's new oven-baked dips are so new that we made a new commercial about their newness. Try new flavors like our cheesy marinara, baked apple, or hot and melty 5-cheese with our not new but still delicious twists. Carry out Domino's new oven-baked dips and twist combos or any 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
On the early morning hours of November 14th, there was human remains found in a fire in a minivan.
When we first arrived on scene, we were more looking at it as investigating a vehicle accident, and eventually that turned into a homicide investigation.
We did the preliminary investigation of the scene, collecting some evidence, doing more detailed photos.
The body was too badly damaged in the fire to determine what the cause of death was. So the next day, when the crime scene investigators got there, the body was immediately flown to the medical examiner's office in Anchorage.
We still had evidence I had to go through in the vehicle, but it started snowing, and it started snowing pretty good. And enough where we didn't want to be stuck up on the side of a mountain during a snowstorm.
So we took the car on a flatbed tow truck and brought it down the road to a State of Alaska garage where we could investigate more clearly.
The license plates had melted off the vehicle in the fire. I was looking for the VIN plate. Normally it's, right there by the dashboard, by the driver's side, but the dash had also been consumed by the fire. Eventually, I was able to find it in the engine compartment and pass that number on, confirm, yeah, this is the Waterman's van. Also, at that time, the medical examiner in Anchorage was able to positively identify her as Lauri Waterman through dental records.
Doc Waterman was Lauri Waterman's husband. So the Craig chief of police went to Doc's house to tell him that it was bad news. The van had been found, a body was inside, and it was Lauri. And it was completely devastating for the chief and for Doc. This is the two-edged sword of being a policeman in a small town. This one was very close to home because I knew the Waterman family. Doc Waterman was prominent in the community. He was a school board member. He did stuff with the Girl Scouts.
Lauri was one of the most giving, kind, loving people I've ever met. She was always, what do you need? I'll be there to help you. Always, no matter what it was, whether it was school or Little League, keep the books at the games, anything. She was always there.
They were both very good townspeople. They were in the community quite a bit. Doc Waterman was a very decorated serviceman in Vietnam. He came home and met Lauri Waterman in Utah. They married and moved to Alaska and eventually settled in Craig. They had 2 children. Jeffrey was the oldest, and then their younger child was Rochelle, who was 16 years old.
Jeffrey Waterman was away at college back east. He had dated one of my daughters for a time and just knew him from being around town as a nice kid. Rochelle grew up with my 2 daughters, went to the same schools, played on the same sports teams, and she was a guest in my house many times, as my daughters were in the Waterman's house many times. Lauri Waterman was an excellent mother and took care of her children and provided them with opportunities that would have allowed them to succeed that you have to fight for in a small town. She did everything in her power to make her kids' life better.
Monday evening, when we talked to Mr. Waterman and to Rochelle privately, tell us about your weekend. Where were you at? Who were you with? When was the last time you talked to Lauri?
Doc Waterman had been on a trip to Juneau to a board meeting of the Girl Scouts.
And then Rochelle went to Anchorage with her volleyball team for a tournament. They both left, I believe, on Friday.
And his older son, Jeffrey Waterman, was in college on the other side of the country.
It was Saturday night. Lauri was at the Chamber of Commerce dinner. And when they got home Sunday afternoon, Lauri wasn't there, the van was gone. And, they started calling around. I've seen Lauri, you've seen Lauri, no, no, no. And that's when Mr. Waterman called the Craig Police Department and reported her missing. We were asking Mr. Waterman and Rochelle, anything strange out of the ordinary when you got home. And Rochelle said she had seen an empty wine bottle sitting on the counter. Mr. Waterman kind of told us that his, wife really wasn't a drinker, and it would be odd for her to, drink an entire bottle of wine. We started going through the house to see if there's any evidence there. We found pictures that Lauri had taken at the Chamber of Commerce dinner. We found the clothes she was wearing were hanging in the closet. It seemed clear that Lauri had made it home Saturday night, and then whatever happened, happened. We found some strange things in the bedroom. There was a tip of a rubber glove. There was some fibers from a synthetic rope that were scattered all over the bedroom. There was a window screen out in the garage. There was a footprint on the windowsill. There was an extra tough boot print, very distinctive pattern. So we figured someone broke into her home, and that was the point of entry into the house.
We needed to try and figure out exactly what happened to Lauri Waterman. And we needed to make sure justice was served.
Are you tired of clean clothes that just don't smell clean? What if your clothes could stay fresh for weeks? Now they can. Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent boosters keep your laundry smelling fresh way longer than detergent alone. Pour a cap of Downy Unstoppables into your washing machine before each load, and enjoy fresher smelling laundry. If you want laundry to smell fresh for weeks, make sure you have Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent boosters. Shop online for Downy Unstoppables, including our new lighter scent.
How fast does Dove Dry Spray actually dry? Let's see. It's dry. There's no dry time. Makes us wonder why we booked 15-second ad slots. Dries instantly and keeps you protected for 48 hours.
Cup, baby.
Up would be the operative word there, pal.
Yeah.
All right, have a good day.
If you ride, you get it.
Oh, wow, we're really backed up.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Domino's new oven-baked dips are so new that we made a new commercial about their newness. Try new flavors like our cheesy marinara, baked apple, or hot and melty 5 cheese with our not new but still delicious twists. Carry out Domino's new oven-baked dips and twist combos or any 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Churches has always loved bringing bold flavors together, and now we're bringing BFFs to the table. This time with bacon, and not just any kind. This is Applewood smoked and Texas cut. The only bacon fit for church's hand-breaded all-white meat chicken sandwich. Yep, these are best flavors forever. A timeless taste shift, a match made in flavor. Introducing Texas Cut Bacon Chicken Sandwiches. Come and get them for a limited time. Churches, bringing that down home flavor.
They call me the hot chocolate guru. Okay, nobody calls me that, but oh no, I've got this.
Big news for heartburn sufferers. Introducing Zantac 360.